Welcome to the show. I'm Jen. My guest today is Crystal Waltman, author, speaker, athlete, coach, so many phenomenal things. And you knocked my socks off the second I met you. Your story, your journey, your inspiration, and your motivation to share it and help others is just unbelievable. So thank you for turning your story into a way to help others. And we'll share that so everyone will know your journey. So what led you to being an award-winning author? Like, how did you get to this point?
Thanks for having me, Jen, and congratulations on your new nuptials.
Thank you.
So how did I turn my pain into my purpose? You know, I think the same thing that wired me to be an athlete became my Achilles heel and turned into addiction. And as we know, addiction can be progressive, right? It can slowly sneak up on you. And it's not like at that stage in your life, you know, maybe it was fine, whatever substance, you know, but addiction is just slowly progressive. And it got me to this point where my life was unmanageable and I needed help. So I had to reach out for help. And then it was at my 40th birthday when I looked around and I saw my friends and family and just with all this support that I had and said, you know, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to turn my pain into my purpose. And it was just at that moment that I got wings again, right? So it's really given me wings, turning my pain into my purpose. And it's just amazing.
So did it start then like that internally, or did you feel it was important to share your story with others? Or was it just more important to just get the story out for you, like almost, you know, as like a therapy? And then as a result, you realized, wow, I'm actually helping others.
Yeah, so I think it was both twofold, right? Because I knew I wasn't alone. And I knew that through this STEP program that I went through. And when I would travel, you know, I could go somewhere in all these different languages and different cities and find my people. And I just knew like this is bigger, you know, and it's not that it doesn't need my face on it, doesn't need a face on it. It's just something that's happening to us because we live like in that time of more. More is better, you know, play harder, train harder, drink more, travel more, you know, and you get into this more thing, you know, which then turns into any kind of addiction. And it can be an addiction with sex, gambling, food, any kind. They all kind of stem from that same thing of uneasiness. And then what can you take to pacify it, you know, to make you feel like at ease at that. And for me, after doing a lot of work, it just ended up being social anxiety. You know, that first time I was 14, I was playing with the 18-year-olds in high school and we won state, and I had taken a drink because I was so anxious and we were celebrating. And it was like that Zoom that you felt, that I felt on that day. And no matter what, as soon as I start to feel uneasy, you know, going forward, I would like, oh, well, knowing that takes the edge off. And it's like, here I am married with child, life is great. And there really is no edge to my life, right? So why did I have to do that? And you know, the addiction can be anything that's standing in between you and your purpose. You know, it could be
that's powerful.
Anything that's in between you and your higher power. It could be in between you and your spouse. It could be in between you and your kids. It could be your phone. It could be a Netflix. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything, and it's just happening to us because of technology. Information's doubling. People are so overwhelmed with more.
Absolutely. So backing up, and you reference being an athlete and pressure and all of that. What drove you with softball, which was your sport? Because that is a lot of your journey, is being an athlete and playing softball. And you still get to incorporate that in your life today.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Did you feel pressure to play? Did you love playing? Where was it? Family pressure, friend pressure? Was it a social thing?
I loved playing. Like when I was on the field, that's where I felt my most at ease. I loved playing, and then it was just, but outside of the field, I felt like some social anxiety. And that's where that came in. But I loved playing. I knew that, you know, after Title IX passed and money was available for women athletes, and it started to level the playing field in sports of opportunity, that there was all this scholarship money that's left claimed every year in women's sports. And I knew that playing softball could be my ticket to a higher education. And so when I was 10 years old, I got to meet the first ever Olympic softball team at like a banquet dinner type setting, and they got up and talked, and one player was sitting at each of the tables.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was the changer for me. I was like, wow, they did this all the way to the Olympics. They're getting to travel the country, all over and meet all these different people through their
so
sport.
Inspiring when you're young. And
I didn't know what I wanted to do in business. So I was like, well, if my sport can take me everywhere, then why not go with this sport and turn this sport into a business type thing?
And with regards to the addiction part being incorporated, did it end up stifling you at a certain point with the sport, or you were done playing? And then at what point did you realize I need to get help?
Yeah. So when my best friend Scarlett committed suicide, it was then that I realized that people's just mask their feelings. And we were home on Christmas break together, and we were both left to college to play our sport, and I never really recovered from that. And I stopped playing after that because of that, and I was just like, how could this sport cause that? And I don't know if it was the sport that caused that or the pressure or whatever, but it was just like cutting off one of my limbs. And so I never really processed that, so I abandoned my sport after completing my time and winning a national championship. I was like, that's enough. I want to go in the real world now and stuff. But, I think that same thing that made me a great athlete also fueled my, it was the wiring for addiction, so it can turn into your Achilles heel afterwards if you don't know how to manage your mental health.
Well, what advice?
You fire differently. You just my brain fires a little differently.
And with that story, looking back, what advice and guidance would you give others who may be in that situation?
Yeah, so there's 5 things I like to tell people that, basically you got to take charge of your mental health, because artificial intelligence, our phone, everything's just happening to us, right? And it's your responsibility to manage your mental health. So if you can identify those things that you take out of your life, whether it be sugar, gluten, cell phone, Netflix, whatever it is, then, just do those 5 basic things to manage your mental health. And it's water, sleep, food, movement, and connection. And those are the 5 things that I have to do now to stay in recovery. Right? I've taken that substance out that was not serving me. But now, if low levels of serotonin, which are related to sleep, can definitely be connected to an addiction, because low levels of serotonin will make you be anxious or depressed. Wow. And when you get anxious or depressed, and you might turn for something on the outside to try to bring your levels up. So if you can get those natural drugs going, then you have a better firewall against the hack of addiction.
And it seems like such a simple thing, but it is hard to incorporate that and be conscious of making sure you're practicing those things. But fundamentally, it seems, that should be something that we all do all the time.
And that, mental health really is on the forefront right now. We're just coming on the back end, the heels of the pandemic. And we have to be responsible for ourselves.
Absolutely.
For those simple things, in water and food and all these basic elements.
Yep.
They just really play a part in mental health.
Well, and let's talk about this, rounding out, our conversation. You've touched on a lot of different things. So how have you translated those things and other things into the book?
So the book is part memoir, part self-help. So it's like, taking my experience, strength, and hope and putting it into a book of telling my story of, I was just that person down the street, and this addiction can be progressive, and it slowly can sneak up on you. And taking my pain and turning it to my purpose. So I told stories of sad turning points in my life, of where I would reach for that ease, the balm of, releasing, if I would feel uncomfortable. If I was happy, I would drink. If I was sad, I would drink. It was just part of the culture that I was in, and not knowing any different. And when it started to block me off from my higher power and my marriage and my kids, it just became unmanageable. So then I share my practical tips, this like quick 7-minute stretch, eat God-made food, just fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts. Things don't have to be so complicated. You just go back to the basics.
And knowing that it's more simple and basic probably makes it easier for people to at least start those steps and feeling like it's this daunting, recovery.
So it just has like some easy workouts, easy recipes, and basically just saying like, you're not alone. Addiction affects everybody in some form of their family, 1 degree away, brother, sister, cousin, uncle, aunt, neighbor, and it's not going away, it's getting worse. How to get help, ask for help, and then here's how you can be a friend to those people, and just that it's progressive.
Well, it means a lot for you to share the story. When I hear of people who have been through challenges or zigzags, as I like to say, and they share it and they're vulnerable in sharing it and putting it out there and knowing that it's going to help to inspire and motivate others is like so admirable, because a lot of people have shame or keep it inside and don't share it. And you've done way more than share it. You've put it, in a book that will stay out there forever for people to go to. So I admire, like I said, from the moment I met you, everything that you're about and putting it out there. So this is definitely something to incorporate into your life. And just from a motivation and inspiration standpoint, not because you've been through an addiction or you might know someone, just being inspired by your story is enough, to want to pick up and read it too. So,
and there a lot of people are just like sober curious that are attracted to me or attracted to my message. Like you don't have to hit that bottom. Yeah. Maybe you just start realizing stuff that you can cut out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just uplifting, to hear what you've been through, and people can take different nuggets from it. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you. So whatever the next thing is, we'll have you back.
Okay.
To share the next project, because I know there's definitely more to your story.
There is.
Coming.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
And thank you. We'll see you next time on Now with Jen.